Hi, I'm Michelle Lee, and the 1002nd album is Multitude by Stromae.
Hi, I'm Jeff Stephen, and you're listening to the 1002nd Album podcast. I spent 10 years going through the 1001 albums you must hear before you die, and now I'm asking people that are important to me all about the albums that are important to them. Enjoy! Hello and welcome to the 1002nd Album podcast. I'm Jeff Stephen, and I'm particularly excited about today's show because I'm here today with the Kingston's leading expert on Ralph Wiggin-isms, somebody who's walked countless hours on behalf of the Humane Society and is just all around a swell individual. Welcome, Bienvenue, Michelle Lee.
Thank you, merci.
And so yes, the album, I was quite pleased with this one because, as you know, I like to think of new things starting with the year 20, so that this is 2022, something from 2022 is fantastic. And it's Stromae, Multitude. And my question for you would be, so who is, or qui est Stromae, and how did you discover them?
So Stromae, I wish I could take credit for discovering him myself, but no, he's a super interesting artist. He was born in the mid-'80s, like me, as all good people were, in Belgium. His mom was Dutch, and his father was Rwandan. And he died when he was pretty young in the genocide too. So a lot of inspiration from his songs come from that. But anyway, fast forward to the 2010s, and he released just all these bops after bop after bop, hugely successful. And then all of a sudden, a few years later, he just disappeared. Told his audience he wanted to go concentrate on fashion, and just left music altogether. And this was about the time that I learned of him, of course, through another colleague, another French teacher on our board, who likes to teach through music, which is a great way to teach.
I like them already.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, he introduced it in like 3 bars into Papa Ute. I was like, oh yes, this is my new favorite artist. Where can I hear more? And it's like, well, sorry, he's gone now. But yeah, for the next 6 years, I just clung to what he had produced, both in my classroom and in my personal playlist. Like, he's so good for running. And then one happy day last fall, I got this YouTube notification that the new album was dropping, and here we are.
Nice. Those are the best kind of notifications.
Exactly.
And I love that idea of bringing, content that you really enjoy into the classroom. I know on my rare ventures into the French classroom, I love bringing in Fou de Fafa, the Flight of the Conchords. And so, how could we not? So what sort of tunes does he have that you've brought into the classroom?
Well, like I mentioned, Papa Ute is like the classic one. Although I know the elementary teachers are getting into it a bit, so I'm like, can you back off? Can you let that? Can you let me be the star of this? But the grade 9s don't complain no matter how many times they hear it. Then there's a couple other ones that I quite like that the grade 9s don't have any problems understanding. There's like Tous les mêmes, which is kind of about gender stereotypes, and then Formidable, which it's the slow, sad breakup song, and the video is just hilarious though, because that's what Stromae does. So, but yeah, I try not to get too boring with it. I don't like to pick apart the grammar and vocab. We just kind of get the gist of that, and like, he's very good with his play on words and puns and stuff like that. So I'll point that out, and my more advanced students will appreciate that, or at least they'll nod and smile
at the appropriate times. Yeah.
Yes, madam. Thank you for telling us that. But yeah, this is one of the reasons why he's my favorite musician. One of my favorites. Anyway, I like to be challenged when I'm listening to music, and like challenged about my own understanding of language. So I try to bring that into the classroom too, using him. And I mean, he's also one of those ones that he crosses a lot of genres of music, right? So he's got some hip hop, some rap, some pop, basically. So hopefully, all my students kind of start to see him and say like, oh yeah, there's something in there I like too. So,
sure.
Yeah.
Something for everyone, for
something
sure.
For everyone.
Yeah, and I'd imagine too, like if you're enjoying it, hopefully the enthusiasm is contagious.
I would hope so.
In the best way as well. and you mentioned as well that he dabbles in a variety of styles, and yes. I think those were definitely on display on Multitude.
Definitely.
And so on the track list, it looks like there's 12 tunes, and it really does go all over the map. So if maybe just to break it down a bit, can we talk a bit about that mix of styles on Multitude, starting with the opener Bienvenue?
Yeah, I'll do my best. I mean, like, I'm not like a music educated person, but from what I hear and what I pick up, like, yeah, definitely this album appeals to a lot of different people as it crosses so many styles, and he portrays all these different perspectives, a bit of a variety of topics. So yeah, Bienvenue, it's a rap about how he's undefeated, so kind of a nice comeback tune to start it all off. And then pretty contrary, though, S1E4, he's saluting the essential workers of the world, and he's not doing it with any irony or anything like that this time.
It's very earnest.
Very earnest, and very catchy, this Latin beat too. So even if you don't know what he's saying, if you don't speak French, it's still like, oh, this is a jam. And then he they're into some really deep, like, relationship philosophizing, as we have to do. Is philosophizing a word?
For our purposes,
and he's thinking about, like, that hard place between, like, getting bored in a routine relationship and also, like, getting lonely when you're single, and, like, where can you find the balance of that? Basically, that's Solitude. And then there's another one, Pas Vraiment, where he's questioning, like, why people who don't love each other, why do they stay together? Thing, raising those good questions.
For sure, yeah. No, and I remembered it was actually I was glad I had a while to listen to this, because it was only today I picked up on that theme in La Solitude, where it felt almost like Groundhog Day, where he's reliving the day and not to his enjoyment as well.
Yeah, he's not happy.
No. No, but you're right, though, that theme of love does recur a few times, and of course, speaking of love, one thing I do love unreservedly is the use of harpsichord in modern music.
Right.
And so personal preference. I know I think of Blur's Clover Over Dover is one of my all-time favorite tunes.
What a great song.
Yeah. And on his next tune here, is it Fils de Joie?
Yeah.
Yeah. And yes.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Strings, and it sounds like it almost belongs on the Bridgerton soundtrack.
Sure.
That song, if you drop the lyrics. So I mean, like, yeah, we've got the Latin beat earlier on in the album, and then Fils de Joie. It's like, where are we in Baroque?
Yeah.
What is happening? But that's a great song too. And again, if you don't understand the lyrics, they're super clever. He's taking 4 different perspectives on sex workers too, and just kind of like, evaluating what you might think of those. So yeah, that one's interesting. And then total shift, though. I think the next track is L'Enfer. It is, yeah. So in this one, he is so, like, just raw and candid, talking about his struggles with mental health and depression, and, like, it's like he's very open, like, I've had suicidal thoughts, blah blah blah, this is the only way to shut them up. So yeah, super serious, super melancholy, and, like, he's holding back his regular irony. But then I think the next song, the irony comes back.
Sure.
In this one, he's talking about like how great it is to be a dad, and how happy he is, and like how wonderful it is to be a father, even though, like, it's, you're covered in pee and poop and this kind of thing. But the way he's singing, it's like totally monotone, and it's just got this, like, I am so happy, I am your dad, this is great. So yeah, I mean, this is just Stromae. This is how he works. He's all over the place, and it's great. He's always keeping you on your toes, I think.
Sorry, no complacency for the listener, which is good.
Exactly.
they gotta stay tuned.
Exactly. He's like, I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do here, and then,
try to keep up.
Exactly.
Well, the one line from L'Enfer that stood out to me today was the English translation, I guess, would have been, "I'm not alone at being alone." Like, and I thought that was it brought me back to the Police's message in a bottle when Sting realizes that he's not alone in feeling that way. And did you ever read Keith Richards' life, his autobiography?
No, I don't think so. No.
It was fairly long, but there was one really neat part where he talks about his vision of hell, or l'enfer.
Yeah.
And it was essentially like being on a permanent timeout, where, like, you're the family and friends and people you love are there, but you're here.
And ironically, that's heaven for introverts too, right?
But Keith wasn't a fan. It sounded like Stromae, maybe less so here as well. But yeah, definitely, yeah. And that's only the first half.
The first half. I might have gone out of order there.
No, but it's already been quite a roller coaster already.
Exactly.
And but moving on to the second half of the record, though, I think you alluded to Pas Vraiment earlier on. And
it's more love. Yeah.
And I think there was a part in that too where he talked about like we look so happy in the photos, and that idea of like the perfect like social media portrayal of love, but pas vraiment, not really. So I thought that was it was neat to hear it today on that lyrical level as opposed to just tapping along with the beats as I did before.
Anglophones can do happily, and that's another beauty of this album, right?
But if you stuck with French all the way through still, you're rewarded as well.
Exactly.
But then the next tune though was delightful Rie. I'm not sure what the instrument is, but what a hook.
I want to say, I don't know how to pronounce it, but
Okay.
I think so. Yeah, so again, we've got these Latin, we've had this like very European sounding classical stuff, and now there's a bit of like traditional East Asian sounding vibes. Which is again, so it's something for everyone. So yeah, that one covers the idea, and it's a beautiful song. And just that everyone has different dreams, everyone has different goals, and it doesn't do you any good to mock people who dream differently than you. You know, some people are super content with like the suburban white picket fence, and that's all they need, and other people need supermodel girlfriends and yachts. You know, so
to each their own.
Exactly. And then can I get to my favorite one of the album?
Course.
Okay, so
yes,
it's called Mon Amour. It is probably the most simplistic and the most basic, and I'm sorry everyone, but it's my favorite. It's just a bop. It's so catchy.
Yes.
And it's just silly, and like the lyrics are just kind of playing about like how like everyone's hypocritical in love, and like we expect things of our partner that we're not going to give ourselves, that kind of thing. The video is also hilarious. It's kind of like a mock what's it called, like a reality show, dating show. Highly recommend.
Oh, it sounds promising.
Yeah, and so this is the one, like I said, like I like to be the one who will introduce everybody to Stromae, but he's being discovered already. This one, he's done a collaboration with Camila Cabello as well. So there's one version on the album where it's just him singing, but
a duet as well.
Yeah, so that one is really, really good. Yeah, probably it's just my favorite.
Yeah.
No apologies.
No, and nor should you apologize.
It's his most basic, but that's me anyway.
No, but it's funny. I find a lot of bands, like I probably should like they're more scrappy. But it's like sometimes just the hits are good.
Right.
Like, so.
There's a reason it's top 40. Right?
I like it. And then that, which brings us to the closing quarter, the 10, 11, 12.
Yep.
And I love the Déclaration. I always think Michael Scott, do declare. And, so and it is another one where, again, that versatility.
Yeah.
Front and center.
This is the one where he's in the falsetto quite a bit. Yeah, and that one's all about feminism and his stance on that, which is, we can all get behind that. So this one probably not my favorite, though. I don't know. That it brings in some more instruments. And to me, it sounds like a accordion played backwards. I'm not sure what's going on. But again, somebody will like it. Sure. I just find it unnerving. But the last two, they go hand in hand, Mauvaise Journée and Bonne Journée. And so Mauvaise Journée is great. I would say it's my number 2 on this album. So that one's kind of about whether or not it's depression, mental illness, or just having a bad day and just being in a crappy mood. And nothing's going right, and he's begging people like, can't you just let me sit on my armchair alone and just be sad? Can I just be sad, please leave me alone, sort of thing, right? Which is, I think that's relatable for everybody. Sure. And then, by contrast, and they kind of go into each other like one beat after the next, the last 2 tracks. Bonne Journée, and that's a good day, right? And so I thought this one was tongue-in-cheek, that he's being sarcastic, but he might be being earnest here. Okay. I'm not sure.
He's tough to read.
I haven't talked to him myself personally, but it is about
this topic.
Yeah. Well, we have our Friday night chats, but it's about being a good day and like choosing happiness and like let's turn to the light so we don't see the shadows and this kind of thing. And I don't know. At first, I was reading it as like, oh yeah, those annoying people who just when you're sad, you just those are the last people you want to talk to, because it's just like, oh, just be happy, just pretend you're bringing everyone down. But maybe it is him saying, okay, like mental health is a struggle and you have to work on it. So these are some strategies, some things to remember. So I don't know, but either way, it is a good song. But yeah, both of them, they're beauties. And you talk about an album being a good album if you get very intimate with the singer, right? And in both of these songs, he makes a reference in each one to wiping his own butt. So I mean, it doesn't get much more intimate than that, I would say. And yeah, I think that's the end of the album, isn't it? Yeah.
No, and it was a strong finish for sure. And
Yeah.
you mentioned early on one of the things you like to show to your classes is the sort of the word player. That's really there was one that jumped off the page to me today, where actually speaking of wiping as well, he called it une bonne journée de merde. and I thought that was really good because it was the idea. I remember the Refreshments had a great song where they said, "It's been a good year for bad days," or a bad year for good days, and it brought me there where it's like the sentence starts off like, "Oh, it's a good day, but for something totally undesirable." So I thought that was a clever twist with Mauvais.
And I think that's maybe why I read it more as a sarcastic one, like because he bases his good day around having a good poop, right?
Yeah.
So it's like,
but I thought that's just
small victories.
Yeah, that's great. But a neat sort of twist because if you just listen to the first part, it's like, oh, what's he complaining about? It's a good day, or that sort of thing. And then with the bonne journée and trying to decode whether it's ironic or earnest or heartfelt or where it is, there's one part I thought there was a neat perspective line where he was saying like when there are lows there are highs, and when there are highs there are lows. And so yeah, maybe it's not the advice someone who's not feeling great wants to hear, but I thought that was a good bit of perspective in there, and gets the antonyms for French class in there as well with the opposés.
Adjectives, everybody. Yeah, and I think that summarizes the album nicely too. There's highs and lows in life,
and what a ride along the way, for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah. Now the concern I had too about liking it so much is that often I'm hesitant when I like something that's new.
Yes.
And part of that comes from my enthusiasm for Oscar Wilde and his maxims, and he had a great line. I don't know if it was a character or one of the things he said, but attributed to Oscar was, "Fashion is a form of ugliness so intolerable that we have to alter it every 6 months."
Fair.
Yeah. So in my case, like when I hear something new, I fear that the appeal is primarily the newness rather than any inherent excellence. So my question for you would be,
burn,
that's my fear. So maybe that's my mauvaise journée for me. But I guess my question for you would be, why will this be a durable recording and not just en vogue right now?
Fair. Yeah, and in all honesty, I don't know.
Yeah. I'm optimistic.
I am. I'm just really excited that Stromae came back from the dead.
Yes.
And then you, Mr. Steven, gave me a platform on which I could share this artist, because I am so rarely that person who can recommend something new, something not so mainstream, he's getting there. He's been on Fallon, like I said, he's collaborated with Camila Cabello and a few other people, promoting this album around the world. But if I can reach a couple of Anglophones and open up their worlds to his works that might have otherwise dismissed him because they don't speak French, then I'll have done my duty as a fan. And here's hoping Multitude makes it to the next century with us.
Well, and if you're looking to reach a couple of people, that sounds like my podcast audience size, so you're in luck.
Both of you. I hope you're having great times.
I think that there's definitely, like you said, there's something for everybody. So regardless of language spoken, there's something to be enjoyed, no matter which track you look at. But overall, as a set, sort of as the summary, why would this one be the 1,000-second album that you must hear?
I would say in short, it's just like humans aren't perfect. Life's not perfect. We have ups and downs, like you said. We have different relationships, explicit different styles. We see what we like, we try it on. If it works, if it doesn't, that's life. And I think that's what Stromae is trying to express with that. And I think everyone can hang on to at least a little something from that. So there we go.
I would agree, or indubitably, as they say. But no, that's terrific. And just a huge thank you for coming today as well, Michelle. So
my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yes, and hopefully, this will not be the last we hear of Stromae. And should I find myself in a French classroom, I will give you credit as the source of my as my gateway to Stromae as well.
That's what I'm here for.
Excellent. Well, merci beaucoup.
Merci.
This has been the 1000 Second Album Podcast. Thanks for sharing some of your time, energy, and attention with us today. Take care.